Hollywood, a larger-than-life symbol for the entertainment business, is home to movie studios including Paramount, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, and many more. Becoming a small community of film studios in the late 1800s, it is a fact that Hollywood has been producing movies for our enjoyment for around 150 years now. But what if that's not all they've been doing? While creating these films, Hollywood has been influencing the way our population treats one another. We are unable to separate fact from fiction. You may not think this is a fact, so let me give you an example. I assume most of the American population has seen the hit movie Jaws. Every person who saw that movie knew it was fiction, but did you know that after Jaws hit theaters, we nearly drove sharks to extinction with feverish hunting to the point that their population may never recover? We know that in real life there isn't a shark big enough to eat your boat, but when the genius scientist character in the movie decided that killing sharks was the only way to prevent dead people, we assumed that part was true. So we killed sharks based on what the make-believe movie told us. See it now? By either creating heroes, or in Jaws' case, villains, Hollywood can both positively and negatively affect how different groups are treated. In many cases, they find their heroes and villains by using current events and headlining news in order to relate to the public. This term, which is defined as taking sensational headlines that are trending and exaggerating them, is known as yellow journalism. This style of reporting, which Hollywood uses, emphasizes sensationalism over fact, making us, the viewer, unable to separate fact from fiction. A perfect example of yellow journalism, which changes how the population treats one another, is during times of war when Hollywood uses headlines to create villains that will resonate with an American audience. Hollywood capitalizes on news headlines about the war and chooses to portray our real enemy as our enemy in films as well. Even going back to World War I, it was evident that Hollywood used trending war headlines in order to create villains for film. For example, movies that came out in the years during World War I, such as Hearts of the World, released in 1918, and Blind Husbands, released in 1919, were both war movies whose villains were Austria and Germany, our real villains at the time. Fast forward to World War II in the wake of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Across the Pacific, a movie released in 1942 depicted Japanese villains, again our real villain at the time. Even modern-day films followed the same pattern. Days after the September 11th attacks, Hollywood producers claimed that it would be most effective if villains in movies were specifically the kind of terrorists who threatened the United States. In the 2 years following 9/11, there were close to 150 reported incidents involving violence or threats against persons perceived to be Muslim or of Arab origin. This is due to Hollywood strengthening the stereotypes and social norms that exist for a certain group of people. Hollywood creates villains, yes, but Hollywood also creates heroes. Hollywood has the ability to normalize and positively affect how groups of people are treated. One example is their support towards the LGBT community and the legalization of gay marriage. Hollywood's efforts to declare their support for gay marriage in the LGBT community did not begin in 2015, the year gay marriage was legalized, but began several years before. Hollywood's efforts to normalize homosexuality in our popular culture in movies and shows such as How to Get Away with Murder, The Walking Dead, Orange is the New Black, and many more helped to normalize it in American families and public life. In 2012, 19.2% of hate crimes were targeted due to the victim's sexual orientation. When Hollywood's support towards the LGBT community increased in 2015, the number of hate crimes committed towards this marginalized group dropped 1.5%. Although numerically, this may not seem significant, it helps to destroy the taboo and normalize LGBT characters in film. As you can see, Hollywood can positively and negatively affect how the population treats one another. It is important to not be blind to this concept. By being blind, we, the population, are allowing filmmakers to have complete control over what we perceive. They will have the ability to decide stereotypes, decide how we view different groups of people, as well as give a whole group of people one stereotype meant for a smaller population. In order to reduce their influence, the population must recognize that people are people as well as understand that you cannot blindly dismiss something that is negative and accept something that is positive.